right, so let us take a look at more relative clauses. This time we're taking a look at non-restrictive clauses, okay? Non-restrictive clauses. Before we get into this specific type of relative clauses, remember relative clauses are clauses that tell us about a noun, clauses that relate, making them relative, clauses that relate to a noun by telling us more about them, and contain a relative pronoun. So remember, some variation of who, which, or that, okay? Whose, whiches, or that's, all right? And don't make the mistake of thinking that because you see who, which, or that, or some variation thereof, that you are dealing with a relative clause. If there's no subject and verb at the very least, the subject being the relative pronoun, and if that relative pronoun or that relative clause is not telling you about a noun, it's not a relative clause, okay? So an example of that would be the sentence, that is a shame. You have that, which is a relative pronoun, which is a verb, that is a shame, but there's no noun next to it, okay? And I know you're saying the noun's implied because pronouns replace nouns. No, the relative clause has to tell you about a noun, and we'll take a look at that in just a second, okay? Let's take a look at non-restrictive relative clauses. So non-restrictive clauses give more information about an identified target, okay? So they're not the same as restrictive clauses where the extra information is intended to help you pick out one from multiple. That's not the case. Remember, with restrictive clauses, say, I want a marker. Which marker? I want the marker that has a green cap, okay? So I want one of multiple for restrictive. For non-restrictive, that is not the case. For non-restrictive, the information is optional, right? We already know the target and the information will be optional. So this is what that looks like. That would look like saying the dry erase marker, which has a green cap, is in the pink bucket, okay? I could say the dry erase marker is in the pink bucket. There's only one dry erase marker here because I took the other ones out, right? But who cares? There's only one dry erase marker here. I'm giving you extra information about the dry erase marker. The dry erase marker, which has the green cap, is in the pink bucket. I already know the target, all right? It's not the same as saying, I want the dry erase marker that has the green cap, or I want the dry erase marker which has the green cap, which would let me know that of this group of dry erase markers, I want the green one, okay? Remember, that would be what? Restrictive, all right? Restrictive. I want the green marker. Sorry, I want the dry erase marker that has the green cap. That would be restrictive. I'm picking one from a group. Here, that's not the case. We don't care about that group. The dry erase marker, comma, which has the green cap, comma, is in the pink bucket. All right, so let's continue, okay? So it gives more information about an identified target. It's optional. The information is optional. It's not necessary. And it will include commas or hyphens. So let's take a look at some examples. If you remember the video about restrictive clauses, you remember we were using Daquan as our focus. All right, so we're going to continue to use Daquan here so we can compare non-restrictive and restrictive clauses. So here, Daquan solves problems which baffle everyone else. We could just leave it at Daquan solves problems, okay? But here we're given more information about the problems. The problems baffle everyone else. So Daquan is coming in to save us because he's the only one who can solve these problems, right? Because they baffle everyone else. An alternative way to write this is the problems, comma, which baffle everyone else, comma, are solved by Daquan. If we eliminate the relative clause which baffle everyone else, we have what? The problems are solved by Daquan. The problems are solved by Daquan. We have a fully functioning clause. We're just being given more information about the problems. We're told that the problems get on everybody else's nerves, but not the quants. Okay? Let's take a look at who, an example using who. So we have our example using which. Here's our relative pronoun. Here's its verb. And then here's the noun it's modifying. All right. Same thing here, relative pronoun. Here's its verb. Here's the noun being modified. Okay. Let's look at who. Daquan chills with people who study effectively. And I know it's a funky sentence. I know. Like, well, with whom else would Daquan be chilling? Animals, right? Daquan wants to study, but animals don't study effectively. Not enough for Daquan. Daquan might have the option of studying with robots. This is the 21st century, right? But the robots don't need to study. The robots know everything. Or they have programmers to help them learn what they need to know. So where Daquan, being a human, Daquan wants to chill with people, comma, who study effectively. All right? We're saying that people are a preference for Daquan. Why? Because they study effectively. All right? And we know not all people study effectively. Just roll with it. So we have our relative pronoun who, and we have our verb study, right? And it's modifying what? People. Here's its noun. Okay? We could rewrite this. Let's give it a try. I need this real estate, so we're going to move it on up here. All right, so here's our alternative of this sentence. We had an alternative for which. Let's conjure an alternative for who. All right. So the people who study effectively, comma, are good company for Daquan. All right, I didn't use a variation of chills with because I would have had to rearrange a bunch of words, and depending on your English comprehension level, it could have become confusing. So this is what we have now. The people who study effectively are good company for Daquan, right? If we omit the relative clause who study effectively, we're left with the people are good company for Daquan, which pretty much means he likes chilling with them. And now that I look at it, these are not the same, okay? Just because Daquan likes to chill with them doesn't mean that they're good company. But let's just roll with it. So, what is our relative pronoun? It's who. What's the verb? Study. And it's modifying which noun or noun phrase? People. You might notice that there's no example showcasing that. The reason is because in American English, when we use a non-restrictive clause, we roll with which. When we use a restrictive clause, the preference is that. For non-restrictive clauses, the preference is which. If you are forced in American English, English spoken in the U.S., I should say, if you are forced to choose between which and that, where non-restrictive clauses are concerned, choose which. Okay? Choose which. So, one more time. Non-restrictive clauses are optional. They give supplemental information about a noun, right? They give supplemental information. The information is optional, and the information should be offset by punctuation, commas, or hyphens, okay? If you have questions, let me know. If you were supposed to do some homework, go on and get that done. If you have no homework due and you're just passing through, I hope you get some practice of some sort. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.